So I'm going to go to my trusty friend, realestate.com. Realestate.com only to find other people selling properties at retail. And I'm going to use Brisbane. I'm really familiar with Brisbane. And the last one I did, I think, was in Perth. I think the one before that I did was in Brisbane. Sorry, Sydney and Melbourne. There are some areas that I've looked at in both of those locations. But for the moment, I'm just going to focus on Brisbane because it is entry level. In my opinion, it's a safe market to be in. Perth is a little bit more of a roller coaster. I'm just going to focus on Brisbane. I'm going to realestate.com, and all I've done, you can see up here, I've typed in Brisbane, greater region. I'm just going to show you what I actually did. So I'm on real estate home screen. I just go Brisbane. So I just type in Brisbane, greater region. Now I want to filter, and my strategy for this session, just to make things easy, is I'm going to focus on land only. So I'm just going to look at 1 into 2, 1 into 3 lot land subdivisions, just because land at the moment, it's easy to do. You can turn it around quickly. And I know for probably the majority of people, you are probably looking at land and not doing any built form. And I think to start off with, land is a pretty easy bet. You don't have to get a builder involved. There's less works to do, and you can turn it around quicker than waiting for a builder to build, a townhouse or a house or whatever that is. So we go Brisbane, greater region. I just want to look at land. That's it, because I want to see what other people are doing. So I want to see what other developers are doing. And this is the first stage. Now, my rule of thumb is minimum price on end sale for land is 300,000. So I want to be minimum 300,000, and I'll just leave it at any, or actually we'll cut it out so it doesn't. Let's go maximum of 700, and that's it. We're just going to keep it broad, and you guys can do this for Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, doesn't matter. Hong Kong, wherever you are, it's the same thing. So I've sorted by lowest price. Just to get some sort of order, I just sorted by lowest price to see what's going to be the lowest. So what is it, 300,000, and then it'll work up from there. And this is Brisbane, so it's going to be a bit more than 300,000. But I'm going to show you how many deals are available. These are most of this stuff, because it's Brisbane greater region, is going to be development stock. Now, if I type in different regions and I go to land, they may not necessarily be development land. So what you can do in that instance is you can filter out by size. So I want minimum land size. We'll actually go maximum land size, but I don't want to limit it too much. But we can do maximum land size at like 500 square meters, for example. And in that instance, you're going to get subdivided land if that's what you're doing. If you're going and looking at acreage properties, you want to be setting that minimum land size a lot higher than that. So there's some areas that are really good for acreage developments. There's a couple of acreage sites that I'm working on at the moment that are fantastic. So you can target different areas. And this for Brisbane, I'm going to show you how many deals there are available. And just on the first page of realestate.com, you can see which areas come up consistently. So I won't mess with this for the moment. iPhone, whoever you are, what do people do? This is a bit old, sorry. This is from 10 minutes ago. What do people do that make $1 million per single dwelling? They're doing luxury homes. So they're buying the land, the people that I know, they're buying the land for $1.5-ish million. They're spending a couple of mil on the build, and then they're selling it for another $1 million on top. So the end sales are sort of sitting around the 3.5 to 4.5, depending on the product. One person that I know, or a couple of people I know, are in Brisbane. Another couple are in Melbourne, as in multiple people doing similar things. And those particular people are doing knockdown rebuilds. And I know there's some other people looking at knockdown rebuilds in the program as well. All right, so from the first page, all we want to do is just scour the development stock that looks like it's a 1 into 2 that we can run some feasibility numbers on. Not every developer is making money, so you want to see which areas are favorable to do development. So you've already seen Pollara come up a couple of times. So you got Pollara here, Bespoke Street Pollara. This one, same street. So this is the one development. And I can tell you now, Pollara makes money. So doing development in Pollara makes money. So there's a reason why this guy's selling land in Pollara. Unless you pay too much for the land, of course. Not every developer makes money, but there is money to be made in Pollara. A lot of it is built out. Archerfield, I'm going to skip past that. This one here, that looks like a split. So you can see that one side They're selling half the block and the other side it's vacant. So I've already clicked on this one, so I won't click on it again. It's over there. So we put that in the bank and you need to open up a few. So that's in Oxley. So just take note of that suburb. That's Oxley. I'm going to skip past this one. So you can click on everyone if you want to. It's obviously going to take you more time, but I'm just going to skip to the good ones. There's one in Bald Hills. So I've opened this one and you can also see that it's under offer. So you can actually call this agent and find out how much the property is under offer for. And when you start doing this process, it takes time to do this stuff. So I'm going to run through it quickly, like in the next, whatever, half an hour. But when you're first starting out, it takes time to do this. As you get more familiar with how to do it, you're going to power through this a lot faster, because the whole aim of the game is to put more properties in the top so you spit out more down the bottom. So the more properties you put in the top, the more you spit out the bottom. In other words, you might need to look at 100 and do 100 feasibilities and one comes out the bottom. So just use those ratios. You don't want to buy the other 99. Now you might get lucky. You might find that one property in the first 10 you look at. But chances are you might have to look at 50 to 100 to find that one. If you're not willing to look at 50 to 100, hang up now and don't do the rest of the course. But that one property could be 100,000, it could be 500,000, it could be 5 million. So if you're going to go through 100 properties, you're probably going to find one. And what ends up happening over time is you build momentum. You don't just end up finding one, you end up finding one that comes through, and then a month later, another one comes through, and then a month later, another one. But that first period of time, you're pedaling hard and you're building the momentum. So you're not going to you may not get any deals for 6 months. It might take you 12 months. We just had a student that took him like 18 months to find a deal, but the deal is much better than what he had anticipated. So he waited longer, he got a bit frustrated, but eventually he got there and it was a lot better than all these other crappy deals that he was so close to buying, but ended up just letting them go. So patience, just have patience, because if you buy the wrong property, especially the first one, it can really set you back. Okay, so I'm at Bald Hills again. You can see I'm at $500,000 price range. So I didn't really even start at 300,000. I am in Brisbane. Algesta, there you go. There's a bigger development. There's another one in Pollara, another one in Oxley. So I've clicked on these. So you can see there's a common theme here. Now, I'm not going to go to Pollara just because the developments look a bit bigger. And if you're doing a 1 into 2 or 1 into 3, you don't want to be competing necessarily with really big developments. So just keep that in mind. So you don't want to be next to a Mervac doing a 1 into 2. It may work, but chances are it doesn't. There you go. There's Oxley again. So you can see there's a common theme here. There's Pollara again, Bracken Ridge. Now, I know we're in the same price range, and I've sorted this from lowest to highest, but you kind of get the idea. You're going to go through similar suburbs where development is happening, and they're the ones that you want to run the feasibilities on. Now, these are only the properties that are on market. I haven't even looked at the ones that have sold yet. This is just on market, what's current right now. You can then look further into that suburb at other developments that are being done. But for the moment, let's just pick some, and hopefully you guys are running through this as well. I remember in the early days, and even now, when I find a deal that makes money, I actually get really excited. I don't know whether that's just me or everyone, but if I find a deal and it's got, well, now it's more than 20%, it's more like 30 or 40%. But when I find that deal that's got that 40% margin, I get pretty excited about it, because that margin, I'm looking at the dollar figure going, sweet, I can finish that project in 18 months and I'm going to make $500,000, whatever that is. So Acacia Ridge, Capera, so Pollara again. But look, just even on realestate.com, you can see all the ones that have sold. So you can see, look, Cannon Hill, Wavell, and you see these are all splits. These are all people hopefully making money if they haven't paid too much or they didn't do something wrong. Remember, not every developer makes money, but you can see the amount of deals that people are doing in the market. They're selling them into the market. Now, hopefully at least half of them are making money. So even if you said 20% of these guys are making money, that's 1 in every 5 people, or 1 in every 5 properties on this list where somebody else is making money. So if you think there's no deals, there's plenty of deals. Look at all the deals just on the first page of realestate.com. And this is just Brisbane. This isn't Brisbane North Side, Brisbane South Side. This isn't Gold Coast. Like, there's every other suburb property around Southeast Queensland. And that's just one area. That's Brisbane. I haven't even looked at Perth. I looked at some areas in Perth the other week. So there's endless amounts of opportunity. You just need to look. So I'm going to target a couple of these. I'm going to use Oxley as an example. And all we want to do is see whether this developer is making money. So you want to see whether this developer is making money so that to see whether you're going to shortlist Oxley as a potential. Now, the price range will come down to, again, your strategy. Do you want to borrow money? Do you want to flick the sites? What margin are these things going to make? So now we want to reverse engineer this one. So let's have a look and jump to Stash. So 38 to 40 Oxley Station Road. I think that was the last one I pulled up. Yeah, it is. So I've already typed that in. Does anyone need me to wait for them? Are you guys on Stash? Everyone that's on, if you're not using Stash, you are not going to get the results. So if you don't have Stash in front of you, or unless you're planning on doing this later, I encourage you to have Stash. I'm being a bit harsh on you guys because I feel that you guys have invested in this program. Whatever you've spent on it, whether it's the program itself or whether you've upgraded to the mentoring, get the most results out of the program. Otherwise, there's no point in spending your hard-earned cash on it if you're not going to actually implement it. So I know it works. I've been doing it for 15 years. I'm regularly buying properties, but it's taken time for me to get to this point. So if you guys are starting from zero, you need to take time to get to the point of finding deals. So this is the crawling phase, or maybe not even the crawling. This is like the army crawl phase. If you're talking about the life of baby, you go to army crawl, then you go to crawling, and then you go walking, and then maybe the running part. So I feel like I'm at the walking phase. I'm definitely not at the running personally, but you need to start with where you're at. If you've already got property experience, that's great. You might be ahead of some people, but don't also let it hold you back. I had no property experience and I kicked everyone's ass that thought they knew it all, that did have property experience, because it was the experience that actually limited what they thought was possible. Whereas I had none of that when I started. So what I thought was possible was what I was told. Let's go 38 Oxley Station Road. Look, if this is a bit basic for you, I apologize. Maybe you can go to sleep and come back in 5 or 10 minutes when it gets a bit more exciting. All right, so this is the property that we're looking at. We just want to find out whether these guys have made money or not on this property to see whether Oxley is a good area to do a splitter in. Last sale price, just sold recently. There you go. So it sold recently for $630,000. These guys are making money. Now they got it by negotiation. This hasn't sold yet, but remember where it was in the list. So I'm going to go back to my list because remember I sorted from lowest to highest. I'm going to go back to my list and I'm going to go because of Oxley Station Road. So it's sorted here. Now there is a cheating way to find out what the price is, but look, it's listed more expensive than 500,000. So assuming that this price is somewhat accurate, let's just use 500,000 just as a round number. So they're selling each side for 500,000. They've only just bought the whole site for 630,000. Who thinks this is going to make money? And look, it's in, oh no, I thought that was a company. That's in a personal name. So she paid 630 for it, 4 months ago. She's already done the split. It probably was already a splitter. So it's likely she would have contracted. Oh no, that would be contract date. The 5th of the 4th is normally the contract date. So we're only 4 months later. Let's just say we're going to sell it for 500,000. So we need to get the feasibility. We got 2 dwellings, 2 blocks of land. They just paid 630. So divided by 2. So 315,000 per lot. Now the soft cost, because it's such a cheap property, it's only 600,000. Your soft costs, and it was only a split, and I'm going to assume it's an easy split. The soft costs would probably not even be 100,000 per site, but let's just say they are, and the hard costs are going to be just about nothing because there's nothing to do on this thing. So let's just say might be 15,000. Let's just say it's 10,000, just argument's sake. And the sale price, they're selling it for 500,000. There you go, there's 18%, give or take. It could be higher, could be a bit low, but it's close enough to 20%. It's somewhere between 15 and 20%. Let's just say their service connections were more expensive, but this is an easy 1 to 2. So if it was 40,000 total, and I think that's being conservative. It's 15% margin. So there's about at least 130,000 profit on this deal, which I'm not surprised by. So there's an easy $100,000. If this property takes, it takes till Christmas to sell, they would have turned this around in what, April to, that's 8 months. So this property here paid 630,000 for it earlier this year. They've got it listed for this. So at the moment, Oxley looks good. And you can see there's one next door. So it's not just these guys that are doing it, it's the one next door.